Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, 6-Path Weeb here. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our fanfic adventure, Naruko Defends the Halls of Hogwarts. That's right, the worlds of shinobi and sorcery collide once again as Naruko brings her kunoichi firepower to the magical corridors of Hogwarts. Expect epic battles, unexpected alliances, and plenty of plot twists. Quick disclaimer. This channel is all about creativity, entertainment, and fandom love. I don't own any of the anime footage or source materials used, all credit goes to the amazing original creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's get into it. Grab your headbands and wands, it's about to get intense. As soon as the stammering redhead left the room, who, truth be told, Naruko found a little too energetic, the three young ninjas stood in the middle of the space, not entirely sure what to do next. The room was acceptable, Sasuke supposed. There were 3 beds neatly arranged in a row. At the foot of each one sat a small chest, and on the opposite side of the room stood a modest wooden table accompanied by 3 chairs. Everything came in threes, making Sasuke feel like they had somehow stepped into a whimsical story titled 3 Samurai Bears and the Goldilocks Ninja. It wasn't fancy by any means. The slightly dusty curtains hung over windows that hadn't been cleaned in a while, and the walls were a plain beige, with one somewhat strange painting, an abstract image of a skull adorned with roses, though the artistic symbolism felt more puzzling than elegant. The floor, though swept clean, creaked loudly with every step, and the beds resembled large, overstuffed cushions rather than the low, cozy ones Sasuke was used to back at the Uchiha compound. Still, it was a decent enough place, certainly more than he had expected when they first arrived. Earlier that evening, the trio had been caught completely off guard when an intense surge of unfamiliar energy lifted them off the ground. Instinctively, they shouted in surprise. The last thing they saw was Lady Tsunade's slightly alarmed expression before everything around them seemed to dissolve into a swirling vortex. Their surroundings transformed into a rush of wind and color. They clung to the portkey tightly, the only stable thing amidst the chaos. All around them were streaks of light, like neon flashes, and winds that shifted between freezing cold and scorching heat. Naruko, Sasuke, and Sakura were tossed about like leaves in a storm. They caught fleeting glimpses of each other through the whirlwind. Sasuke recognized the distinct shades of golden blonde and bubblegum pink in the blur. Their masks had been jostled askew, the side of Sasuke's chrome mask pressed uncomfortably into his face. Naruko's expression was wild, her blue eyes wide with excitement and alarm, while her free arm flailed helplessly in the turbulent space. Sakura's cat mask had slipped to the back of her head, exposing her anxious face. "Holy Mother of Ramen, what in the world is going on?" Naruko exclaimed, her voice high with both thrill and confusion. Despite being jostled by the winds, Sakura gave her a bewildered glance and shouted back, "What? He's like a super strange plant dude, imagine if he suddenly grew wings and started flying around. That would be hilarious." Sakura let out a short, disbelieving laugh, though it was quickly swallowed by the gusts. Sasuke rolled his eyes at Naruko's bizarre imagination but couldn't help the small chuckle that escaped him at the thought of an odd plant ninja floating around like a butterfly. Suddenly, the wind surged even faster, though Sasuke hadn't thought that was possible, and he slammed into someone, he assumed Sakura, judging by the lack of loud complaints. His grip on the portkey began to slip, and a quiet unease crept in. What would happen if he let go? Would he end up stranded in this strange dimension forever? Just as panic was setting in, the storm came to a sudden halt, and the 3 of them were hurled out of the vortex, right toward the ground. Thud. Despite their training, the landing left them dazed. Sakura ended up landing right on top of Naruko, the impact knocking the wind out of her. Naruko didn't seem to mind, in fact, she just gave a wide grin. Beneath both of them, Sasuke was momentarily crushed, the weight of his teammates pinning him to the ground. His head ached from the impact, and their combined weight wasn't helping. His mask clattered nearby. Trying to breathe, Sasuke muttered with mild irritation, "Can you get off, please?" Naruko blinked, realizing the situation, then burst into laughter. "Oh wow, this is perfect. My dear teammate Sasuke is literally carrying the team today, and I get to have a cuddle pile with Sakura. I could definitely get used to this." She shifted slightly, playfully putting her arms around Sakura, clearly enjoying the moment. Sasuke twitched but, with the patience he'd mastered over the years, silently began a mental countdown. 3, 2, 1. "Like I'd let you stay there," Sakura shouted, her face red with embarrassment as she stood up swiftly. A swift, but careful, nudge to Naruko's shoulder sent the blonde tumbling off, laughing despite herself. Ow, Sakura-chan. That was totally unnecessary, she mumbled through a giggle, rubbing her nose. Sasuke stood, brushing himself off, and fixed his mask back into place. So? Now what? Sakura asked as she scanned their surroundings. It was immediately clear they weren't anywhere familiar. The buildings were closely packed, painted in muted shades of gray and brown. The atmosphere felt heavy, and the dim lighting, somewhere between sunrise and sunset, cast long shadows that gave the street an old, mysterious feel. Naruko, still holding her nose, muttered in a slightly stuffy voice, "Does everyone here in Europe have that whole mysterious and broody thing going on like Sasuke? Yikes." Sakura rolled her eyes fondly and walked over to retrieve the port key, which had landed a short distance away. As she picked it up, she noticed a folded piece of paper that hadn't been attached before. "Guys, check this out," she called. Naruko and Sasuke walked over and looked at the paper in her hands. Neatly written in Japanese were the words. "The Order of the Phoenix headquarters is located at 12 Grimald Place." 5 minutes later, after thoroughly examining each of the surrounding houses, Team 7 could confidently say there was absolutely no sign of 12 Grimald Place in the immediate vicinity. Sasuke was sure they had read the message on the paper correctly, even though it had mysteriously vanished the moment they stepped near it and read it aloud. "Naruko," Sakura scolded. "What did you do?" Naruko flailed her hands defensively. "Sakura-chan. I didn't do anything." Still, Sasuke had memorized the message immediately, just in case. Sakura sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I have no idea what we're supposed to do now," she groaned, rubbing her forehead. "There has to be something we're overlooking," Sasuke said thoughtfully. Naruko scrunched up her face in concentration. "Well, we could. We could try. Arg. Sakura-chan, seriously, fix my nose, please. I can't think right." "Fine, you big softy." She walked over, her hands glowing softly with healing chakra, and placed her palm over Naruko's nose. Under her breath, she mumbled, "Not like you think straight anyway, but sure." Naruko pouted in response. Uninterested in the playful bickering, Sasuke turned back toward the area where the houses marked 11 and 13 Grimald Place stood. He raised his hand to his chin thoughtfully. "There's no way it doesn't exist. Could this be a hidden entrance? Maybe they used some kind of concealment technique." The paper's sudden disappearance still weighed on his mind. It wasn't something done casually. This place was clearly meant to remain unseen. Activating his Sharingan, his eyes shifted, the Tomoe spinning into focus. Details sharpened immediately, the world now crisp and detailed. Once overwhelming, this clarity was now second nature to him. He examined the space carefully. Everything, even the chakra patterns in the air and soil, seemed perfectly ordinary, except for one subtle detail. His eyes narrowed. There it was, a faint ripple between the two houses. It was like an illusion, yet foreign. The visual disturbance reminded him of genjutsu, but something about it didn't fit. It was as though two identical fruits looked the same in color and type, but one was slightly off in shape, just enough to notice if you were paying attention. Sasuke figured it might be a different kind of magic, something outside the usual shinobi arts. This illusion didn't belong to the elemental nations. Focusing his chakra, Sasuke formed a ram seal. Release. The command brought Sakura and Naruko rushing to his side as the air around the building shimmered. A deep, low hum filled the air, and to their amazement, the two flanking houses slowly shifted aside. From between them, a new house emerged, dark, silent, and out of place. The entire area glowed subtly, the shimmer vanishing like mist. Naruko's eyes widened in wonder. "Whoa! I didn't think wizards could use illusion techniques like this," Sakura murmured, peering at the now visible structure. "They shouldn't be able to," Sasuke said, eyes still focused. "It's different from anything I've seen. I can see the outline now." "It's really faint," Sakura said as she stepped closer. "It's kind of like genjutsu, but not quite. It's not compressed or stretched. It's just missing something?" Sasuke nodded. "Exactly. That's what's been bothering me." "But what part is missing?" "Normally illusions fade after you break them, but this didn't." Naruko tilted her head in thought. "Well, don't all techniques use physical and spiritual energy? Maybe this one uses only one type, or the balance is different. That would explain the strange feeling." Both her teammates stared at her. "Wow, Naruko," Sasuke said in disbelief. "That's actually a really solid theory," Sakura said, smiling as she gently patted Naruko on the head. Looks like you do think about things beyond ramen. I'll have you know I'm very clever, thank you, Naruko huffed, sticking her tongue out playfully. But never when it matters, huh? You're asking for a sparring match, Sasuke. As if you'd win, Naruko. Sakura quickly stepped in before things escalated. Alright, enough you two. Let's focus. We're wasting time out here. The team approached the newly revealed house. The door before them was deep black, blending seamlessly with the somber, neglected yard. I'm not exactly excited to go in there, Sakura said honestly. Yeah, feels kind of spooky, Naruko added. Also, possibly a trap. Don't be so dramatic, Sasuke said. Sakura raised an eyebrow. Says the one who wasn't much help last time we walked into an ambush. I saved you from getting zapped, didn't I? And then tried to take on all the enemies yourself, got knocked out, and left me doing double the work. TCH. She's right, you know, Naruko chimed in. Anyway, Sakura said, taking charge, let's break this down. Option 1, this is a trap and they're trying to capture us. Option 2, still a trap, but they might hold a grudge. Option 3, they genuinely need help. Option 4, partial truth, they need allies or information. Naruko stroked her chin and thought. Based on our usual luck, it's probably a trap. Sakura nodded. Or they're fishing for intel on ninja. Either way, they're not on our side. So, how do we get in safely? I think using the door is a bit too obvious. No kidding, Sasuke muttered. What if we just teleport in? Sakura suggested. At worst, we skip the first few traps, which gives us a better chance to react. At best, we catch them off guard. Sounds fun, Naruko grinned. Hey! Wow, Sasuke actually agrees, Naruko teased. It's just the most strategic approach. Sure. You just want an excuse to show off. TCH. You're not even denying it this time. Sakura cleared her throat loudly. Ready? Naruko's playful demeanor shifted instantly into focus. Ready. 1, Sasuke counted. 2, Naruko added. 3, Sakura shouted. And with a sudden burst of movement, all three vanished from sight. A flurry of leaves drifted gently to the ground in their wake. As the elderly, bearded gentleman, Dumbledore, spoke with the red-haired woman inside, the three shinobi stood upright outside, exchanging subtle hand signals. Naruko, see the one with glasses? That's our assignment. Sakura, yeah, the one with the scar and dark hair? Sasuke, that's the one. Sakura, he seems pretty young. Innocent, even. Naruko, well, it's not like he asked to be the focus of unusual attention. Sakura, wait, what? Naruko, oh, right. You haven't read the full report yet. I'll explain later when it's just us. Sasuke and Sakura, understood. Naruko, heads up, red-haired woman approaching. She might have instructions. Sakura, Dumbledore did say she'd help with our sleeping arrangements. Were you not paying attention? Naruko, I knew that. I was just double-checking. What was her name again? Sakura. Sasuke, Molly, I think. Weren't you listening, Sakura? Sakura, very funny. Naruko, okay, focus. Stay sharp. Sakura and Sasuke, yes, Captain. Sasuke, she looks a little nervous. Sakura, quiet, Sasuke. The red-haired woman stepped up and began speaking. In a language entirely unfamiliar. Naruko cringed slightly behind her mask. Pardon me, ma'am, Sakura said politely, carefully enunciating, but we don't understand your language. The woman continued speaking, what sounded like random syllables to Naruko, before pausing and signaling behind her. Dumbledore, likely noticing their confusion, stepped forward kindly. My apologies, Headmaster Sama, Naruko said diplomatically, but besides the person we're assigned to protect, I don't know anyone here. Would you mind clarifying? Ah, of course, the old wizard said kindly. The two red-haired adults are Arthur and Molly Weasley. Forgive me, I believe your culture lists surnames first. That would be Weasley Arthur San and Weasley Molly San. Their children include the twins, Weasley George San and Weasley Fred San, the two tall young men at the back. The younger boy is Weasley Ron Kuhn, and their daughter is Weasley Ginevra Chan, though she prefers to be called Ginny. The man with dark hair near Arthur-san is Black Sirius-san, the owner of the house. On his other side is Lupin Remus-san, and the woman with bright purple hair is Tonks Nymphadora-san, she prefers to be called just Tonks. The gentleman with the long hair and unusual eye is Moody Alaster, commonly referred to as Mad Eye. The young woman with curly hair at the front is Granger Hermione, and lastly, your charge with the black hair is Potter Harry. Naruko nodded politely. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. Dumbledore turned back to the group and addressed them in their native language. After a moment, he introduced the shinobi by their code names, Inu, and Naruko stepped forward and bowed slightly. Nico, Sakura followed with a graceful nod, Karasu. Sasuke acknowledged with a quiet nod. Excuse me, Headmaster Sama, Sakura added respectfully, please let them know it's standard procedure during protection missions to inspect the area, set up precautionary measures, and later, we'll continue that protocol within the school as well. We ask that they avoid wandering at night to prevent misunderstandings. I understand they may not be used to these methods. Naruko internally sighed. She really should have brought that up first. Back home, even locals didn't always understand shinobi behavior. These people certainly wouldn't know what to expect from guards patrolling silently at night. Dumbledore gave a nod of understanding and translated Sakura's explanation to the group, who all listened seriously and nodded in return. Molly-san stepped forward again and, without speaking, motioned toward a staircase. The three shinobi followed her gesture and ascended quietly to their room. Once Molly was gone, all three visibly relaxed. Their masks were removed, revealing tired expressions. Phew, that was something, Naruko said with a laugh. It's hard enough to maintain formal posture, let alone stay in character while trying to interpret a language I've never even heard before. Agreed, said Sakura as she moved around the room. We should start reviewing these books. She motioned to a neatly stacked pile on the desk. Since we're attending the school starting tomorrow, we need to be prepared. This is going to be a lot, Sasuke muttered, lifting one of the heavier books. Naruko chuckled. Feeling the weight already, Sasuke? Sakura nudged Naruko gently. Focus. Remember protocol? Right. Got it, Naruko nodded. Sasuke, I'll need a high-level genjutsu barrier, A rank, if you can. Sakura, please scan the building and let me know who's where. I want to ensure we have total awareness. Sasuke formed hand signs, his chakra gathering tightly as Sakura closed her eyes in meditation, her energy sweeping silently through the house. Their familiar chakra presence gave Naruko a sense of calm. While they worked, Naruko placed her pack on the bed closest to the door, an instinct from training as team leader. One of the many lessons she'd learned from Lady Tsunade was to always protect her teammates first. You're the captain. You're the first line of defense. You take the front and hold the shield for them. Done, Sakura said at last. No one listening in. Just someone coming up the stairs. Their pace is slow, probably friendly. Footsteps confirmed her analysis. I also got a good mental image of the layout. I'll sketch it out later, just in case. Excellent work, Naruko praised. Sasuke? All set. Great. Now that we've got that covered, let's explore our new space. Sakura opened the center drawer in her cabinet. Look at this, she said cheerfully, pulling out a toiletry bag, a change of comfortable clothes, and a box of cookies. Naruko found a pouch of colorful candies, and Sasuke discovered a box of strawberry pocky, prompting both girls to giggle. This is thoughtful, Naruko remarked. Not many hosts go this far. Sakura smiled. It's sweet. Though, we don't really wear pajamas on assignment, but I'm keeping the toothbrush. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Didn't you two bring everything you needed? Well, yeah, Naruko said, but we're going to be here a whole year. Having extras helps. Sakura sat cross-legged on the center bed, gently tugging Naruko's arm to sit across from her. Okay, spill it. What's this mission really about? Sasuke joined them, curiosity piqued. Naruko pulled a folder from her bag. Alright. So here's the gist. There's a certain individual who tried to create a lot of trouble in our world. Sasuke's expression sharpened. Orochimaru? Nope. Someone named Volume de Mort, or something like that. Someone with a ridiculously long name, for sure. Apparently, he also has a thing for snakes, seriously, he even surrounds himself with them. Anyway, this not-so-nice snake guy wants to take over the world, and he nearly pulls it off. Then he hears a prophecy, a child born on a certain day will eventually stop him. So, he sets out to find this baby, who turns out to be this hairy kid. Big surprise, right? But Harry's family has protection, originally provided by someone else, but plot twist. That person turns out to be a traitor. Voldemort ends up finding their now unguarded house. He confronts the family, and the child's mother, Lily, stands her ground. She begs for her child to be spared, offering herself instead. Despite everything, her love creates a magical protection around her baby. When Voldemort tries to cast a harmful spell, it rebounds because of that love and backfires. Instead of harming Harry, it leaves a mark, hence the lightning scar on his forehead, and Voldemort is weakened. So, ever since then, he's been trying to regain his power and complete his plan, but he hasn't succeeded. Until now, that is. Now he's finally strong enough to return, and his followers, who have a really odd name, by the way, are starting to show up again. That's where we come in. Sasuke blinked. That sounds completely unbelievable. That might be the wildest story I've ever heard, Sakura agreed. Naruko grinned. I know, right? But it's real. Check the mission file if you don't believe me. I believe you. I just can't believe we're the ones handling this bizarre mission, Sakura muttered. So, what's the plan? How do we even start? I was thinking we begin with the basics, Naruko replied thoughtfully. Set perimeter defenses, stay alert, maybe scout around a bit. We don't know what he's truly capable of yet. Good idea, Sasuke added. We need to assume there could be attempts to breach security every day. Even one slip could compromise the mission. For an entire year? That's going to be draining, Sakura sighed. I know, Sakura-chan, Naruko said gently, patting her on the back. We're heading to the castle tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll learn more once we're there. Speaking of gathering intel, what about our secondary mission? Sakura asked. I doubt they'll be quick to share everything with outsiders like us. Well, Naruko said, flipping through the file again, they did mention the castle has one of the biggest libraries in the magical world. Really? Sakura's eyes sparkled. That's where I'm heading first. Easy there, Sasuke said with a small smirk. This is amazing. I read super fast, and with the help of my and Naruko's shadow clones, we can learn almost everything about this place. Sakura was practically bouncing with excitement. You went from annoyed to thrilled real fast, Naruko teased, smirking. Well, if you can absorb everything from that library between patrols, we'll be in great shape. Still, we'll need direct information from people too, Sasuke said. Books can't always give current context. True, Naruko nodded. Her brows furrowed in thought. It's odd they mentioned the library so openly though. Are they trying to impress us? Maybe it's like a welcoming gesture, Sakura offered. Trying to show us they're prepared. Or maybe they really need our help that much, Naruko said. She chuckled. This whole mission is strange, but sometimes, the strange ones are the most fun. Sakura snorted. Keep talking like that, and someone's going to trick you into eating a frog. Sakura, what? Naruko said in confusion. Aren't witches and wizards supposed to eat frogs? Sakura asked, looking honestly curious. No, Sakura-chan. They have frogs as magical pets. It's actually French cuisine you're thinking of. Oh. Carry on. Sasuke blinked. I'm confused. I feel you, friend. Girls are confusing. Agreed, Sasuke said. Naruko patted him on the back, looking wise. They're one of the great mysteries of the world. Unique, brilliant, and sometimes unpredictable. Ow. She yelped as Sakura thumped her on the head. Too much energy in one room, Sakura said, grabbing her mask. I'm heading out for patrol. She shoved the two off her bed. Off. Now. Love you too, Sakura-chan. Naruko called playfully as Sakura exited, earning a glare. As the door closed, Sasuke gave Naruko a look. You were asking for that. I live life on the edge, Naruko said proudly, puffing out her chest. Yeah. And that might catch up with you, Sasuke replied dryly. Dash. The house was giving Sakura chills as she moved down the hallway. It was like something out of a haunted storybook. The paintings moved, the trees swayed, animals walked around, like something enchanted. Some showed creepy landscapes, shadowy forests, stormy oceans, and ominous castles. Regardless, the vibe made it clear, something was definitely off about this place. Focus, Sakura, her inner voice reminded her. You've handled stranger things before. Yeah, but not in a completely new place where anything could happen. Still, she calmed herself and cloaked her chakra with a strong genjutsu. Carefully, She began setting traps, nothing harmful, just energy detection ones. Around one doorway, she wove a delicate web of chakra that would alert her if anyone passed through. There. This is the only hallway with a staircase, so it's a good spot to watch. We're leaving tomorrow, but better to be safe than sorry. Try to leave a few more detectors before you go. You never know what could happen once you're gone. Good thinking, she replied to herself. Circling another hallway, Sakura quietly tiptoed to the wall and carefully climbed up the side. Her foot accidentally bumped something. She assumed it was a painting. Until it suddenly started talking. Ow! Startled, Sakura immediately leapt back, instinctively drawing a few kunai. Her eyes scanned the area rapidly, searching for a threat. Okay. There are strange things here. Definitely not normal. Hey, what's with all the noise? Did a painting fall again? Keep it down. Some of us are trying to sleep. Voices echoed from all around the hallway, freezing Sakura in place. She quietly prepared her chakra, ready to teleport away if needed. Someone kicked me. There's someone going around kicking me. Calm down, old-timer. I don't see anyone. There was someone. I promise on Merlin's beard, someone kicked me. Sure. Whatever you say. Honestly, who goes around kicking others at this hour? Ever since Dumbledore brought his friends in, everything's gotten so noisy. Yep. Another lecture. Great. They're messing with the dignity of the Black family. If I could just get out of this frame, I'd. Alright, Grandpa Ranty, back to your corner. I'm going to sleep. What a night. I'm not imagining things. Listen here, all of you. Sakura exhaled slowly as the chaos died down. Apparently, the paintings could talk. And argue. She hadn't meant to step on one, but it caused quite the stir. The painting in question seemed a little confused, so the others didn't take it seriously. She teleported a short distance away, brushing herself off and trying to shake off the strange energy still lingering in the air. That might have been the weirdest thing I've seen in a long time. You can say that again. Meanwhile. So, Sasuke, talk to me. Friend to friend. Naruko grinned as she landed on Sasuke's bed, ignoring the irritated expression on his face. No, he replied flatly. Not discouraged in the slightest, Naruko leaned closer. Aw, come on. Sakura's not back from patrol yet, and we've got time to kill. Just open up a little, no pressure. Oops, sorry, that sounded weird. Still no. Why not? You've got a big, mysterious brain full of thoughts. Let's hear them. How do you feel, huh? Tell Dr. Uzumaki all about it. If I wanted to talk to someone, the last person I'd choose would be you. Oof, Sasuke. Right in the heart, Naruko said, placing a hand on her chest in mock pain. That hurt. Good. Sasuke. HN. No, not the HN. Anything but that. HN. Stop. It stings. Naruko dramatically rolled off the bed onto the floor. Sasuke, on the other hand, looked mildly amused. You're impossible, Naruko. So I've heard, she muttered, curling up on the floor in fake despair. What are you two doing? The two of them looked up to find Sakura, arms crossed, staring at them with a mix of disbelief and irritation. She had just returned from patrol and was clearly not expecting this. Oh, hey Sakura-chan. Naruko chirped, leaping to her feet. Me and Sasuke were just having a heartfelt, soul-cleansing talk about feelings and stuff. No, we weren't, Sasuke interrupted. Like our hopes, dreams, favorite foods. Ramen is not, Sasuke attempted to cut in again. And even our mysterious love interests. Naruko, Sasuke groaned, looking ready to burst. And now we've reached the part where Sasuke realizes he's been charmed by my dazzling personality. I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, you were my first teammate and forever awesome, but Sasuke and I are running off together. Catch me, darling. Naruko dove dramatically toward Sasuke, who immediately pushed her off the bed and stood up with a glare that said he'd had enough. Sakura blinked, still processing the scene, then quickly stepped in between them to stop whatever chaos was about to unfold. She gave Sasuke a firm look, eventually convincing him to calm down. Once that was handled, she turned to Naruko with an unimpressed expression. Seriously, what was that? Naruko shrugged. I thrive on excitement. More like you were bored waiting for your patrol shift, raided the candy stash," Sakura said, eyeing the empty Pocky boxes and the chocolate-smeared Hokage in training, "and then decided our Uchiha friend here was the perfect target for your sugar-fueled energy." "That too," Naruko admitted with a grin. "Hey, Harry?" Hermione whispered softly in the dark. "Yeah?" He replied just as quietly. "What do you think about the guards?" He paused, thinking. They're definitely skilled and really serious about their roles. Their voices sounded kind of young, though, not like full-grown adults. They seemed really focused and, honestly, not very approachable. I guess I found them a bit intimidating. Hermione was quiet for a moment before she spoke again. "Harry, I want to learn more about them. Their culture, their abilities, even who they are as people. They seem so distant and closed off. It doesn't feel natural. I don't know what they've been through to become like that, but I want to understand. And maybe, if I can, I'd like to help them." "Hold on," Ron whispered, joining the conversation. "You want to walk up to those seriously powerful ninja guards and try to talk to them? Are you sure that's a good idea?" "I kind of agree with Ron," Harry added quietly. "They seem like they could be unpredictable, and we don't really know how they'd react. I'd wait before doing anything. But if it turns out they just want someone to understand them, or if they need support, I'd be there in a heartbeat." "Yeah," Hermione said softly. "So we wait and see how things unfold?" "You could always check out the library at Hogwarts tomorrow," Ron suggested. "If anyone can dig up something interesting, it's you, Hermione." Hermione smiled. "Okay. Thanks, both of you." "No problem," they replied together. "Good night." Naruko breathed in and out, counting each heartbeat with care. For once, her mind was calm. The exercise had become a daily routine, a grounding practice that reminded her of home. Pervy sage, Jiraiya, had first taught her the meditative pose when he noticed how unrefined her chakra control was. He made her practice it each night before bed, each morning upon waking, and whenever she was on watch. That habit had stuck with her over the years. Her lips curved into a soft smile at the memory of him. Despite their frequent bickering, she thought of Jiraiya as family, perhaps more like a very eccentric uncle who was wise, powerful, and hilariously awkward in public. She hoped he was doing well back in Konoha. Thinking of home made her heart ache a little. As much as she tried to deny it, Naruko missed the comfort of the village already. Their mission was daunting, an entire year of unwavering attention and responsibility. She wasn't even sure if she had the energy or focus to carry it through. Konoha was more than just her village. It was her sanctuary, the one place where she truly felt she belonged. What was that old saying? Home is where the heart is? For her, her heart lived in every single person she cared about in the village. In Tuchi and Ayame, in Lady Tsunade, in Jiraiya, in Kakashi-sensei, in Kurenai and Asuma. In all her fellow shinobi from the Rookie 9. Even in Gai-sensei with his intense positivity, and Anko with her fierce spirit, and Miraku, her strict and demanding Onbu instructor. He had been tough, but without his training, Naruko would have struggled from day one. It wasn't loyalty to the walls or buildings that tied her to Konoha. It was her belief in the will of fire, the idea that the village is its people, and that protecting them means everything. Pieces of her heart were scattered all throughout the village. But she could admit it, one very large piece of her heart belonged to Sakura and Sasuke. Her teammates, her friends, her chosen family. A beautifully complicated mix of strength, stubbornness, and love. She could already imagine them teasing her for using a word like dysfunctional to describe their team. As if she hadn't known what it meant before. Okay, fine. She had looked it up. Big deal. Naruko reached out with her chakra, sensing Sakura's familiar energy signature in the room behind her, calm and steady. It was a habit she developed once her chakra control improved, a subtle but reassuring technique. No need for jutsu, just presence. Sakura's chakra lightly brushed against hers, a warm, comforting response. She smiled, Sakura was awake. She searched again and found Sasuke's energy nearby. Predictably, his flared in irritation the moment her chakra touched his. She could practically hear his voice in her head, "TCH. Stop it, I'm trying to sleep." Her grin widened. She adjusted her Onbu mask again for what felt like the 100th time. Porcelain wasn't exactly comfortable, it felt like strapping a dinner plate to your face. And not one of the nice ones, either. More like one of those faded old floral designs that grandparents were oddly attached to. Why porcelain, anyway? It looked cool with painted designs, sure, but there had to be better materials. Wood? No, too flammable. Metal? Too heavy and hot. Plastic? Probably not durable enough. Fabric? That sounded silly. Huh. Maybe porcelain really was the best choice. Still, Anbu was tough. It wasn't flashy or glamorous. It wasn't what people assumed. The hardest part wasn't the missions themselves, it was the responsibility, the constant watchfulness, the expectation to always be ready. And those were not exactly things people usually associated with Naruko. When she had first told Lady Tsunade she wanted to join Anbu, the Hokage had laughed loudly. But when Naruko told her she was completely serious, Tsunade's demeanor changed. "I don't think this is what you really want, Naruko," she had said, eyes intense. Naruko shifted uncomfortably. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't." "Anbu isn't something you do on a whim," Tsunade warned. "These missions. They challenge you, change you. Sometimes they can break someone, make them feel lost." "I know that," Naruko said firmly. Tsunade had risen from behind her desk. "I think you're just trying to get closer to becoming Hokage. But hear me, if you're not careful, Anbu could become more of a burden than a path. It takes everything from some people. Not everyone walks away the same." "Ba-chan, I understand the risks. But I still want to help." Tsunade's eyes softened, but her voice trembled with emotion. "You know how hard it was for me? How it changed Jiraiya, made him more serious, how it affected people like Orochimaru in ways we still don't fully understand. Every year, people step down from Anbu changed, sometimes they just need time, and sometimes." She didn't finish the sentence. Then suddenly, she pulled Naruko into a hug. The young shinobi froze, surprised by the gesture. "I just don't want to lose you," Tsunade whispered into her shoulder. "You're important to me, Naruko." That memory was still fresh, and it weighed on Naruko's heart. Tsunade was one of the strongest people she had ever known, and to see her that vulnerable, it stayed with her. That day, Naruko made 3 resolutions. First, she would still join Anbu. She had to. It was a step toward her dream. She was Naruko Uzumaki, and nothing was going to stand in her way. Not even the universe, as Sakura would say. She needed this chance, especially after everything. Naruko clenched her fist and deliberately pushed aside her racing thoughts. Her second promise was to Tsunade. Not to the Hokage, not to the Slug Princess, not even to the legendary Sannin, but to the woman beneath all those titles. "Tsunade ba," Naruko whispered softly. Tsunade was grieving silently, tears gently falling and brushing against Naruko's hair. Her head bowed, her eyes shimmering with emotion, but her will remained strong, she would not cry aloud or break down. "I've thought this through, you know. I really have. This isn't something I could just rush into." Naruko's voice was steady, thoughtful. "I talked about it a lot with my team, even with Kakashi-sensei. He was pretty surprised, but eventually, they all agreed. This is something we have to do." She paused, then offered a small smile. "And I know the risks. That's why I'm making this promise to you. I won't let Anbu change who I am. And you know I always keep my promises, it's part of my way as a shinobi," she chuckled gently. "I won't be alone either. Sakura and Sasuke are coming with me. They insisted on it. They want to protect me, to be at my side. Can you believe that? Back then, I didn't have anyone's trust. I was all on my own. But now, they're with me, no matter what." Her voice was calm, almost reassuring. "It's kind of amazing, right?" She laughed softly. "Maybe Anbu is like a trial. Something tough. But I need this, Tsunade ba. I need people to see me for who I really am, not just my face or what they've heard. I want to be Konoha's shield. I want to protect people, be someone they can rely on. And Sasuke, well, he needs this too. He's still struggling to believe in himself, even though we've all forgiven him. He wants to prove that he can do good, not for anyone else, but for himself. And Sakura. She doesn't need this mission, not really. She's already so strong, so capable. Everyone respects her. But she's coming anyway. Not because she has something to prove, but because we matter to her. She needs us as much as we need her. That's a pretty comforting feeling, you know?" I gave them both a choice. I even told them not to come. But you know what they said? They told me I had no choice, they were coming, no matter what. Naruko's smile widened, filled with warmth. They have no idea how happy that made me feel. Maybe that's selfish. But I really do feel lucky. Tsunade was silent, listening. Her tears had stopped. "We're going in as a team, and we'll leave as a team. No one's getting left behind, we're too determined for that. We might just be one of the best squads for a while. But we're not planning to stay in Onbu forever. Sakura and I will move on, and Sasuke. Maybe he will too. He won't say it, but he's happiest when we're together. Naruko smiled again, gently teasing, we'll all come back safe. That's the plan. Those simple words made Tsunade hold her just a little tighter. Besides, Naruko added with a wink, how else am I gonna sneak away with your Hokage hat one day? You've gotta have more faith in me, Ba-chan. There was a long moment of quiet, and Naruko worried for a second that maybe she hadn't said the right things. Then came a chuckle. Not just a laugh, but a light, joyful sound filled with relief and affection. Tsunade finally pulled away from the embrace, placing a gentle hand on Naruko's cheek. Humph. If you want a shot at those Onbu forms, young lady, you'd better bring me at least 100 bottles of tea. And none of that cheap stuff either. Her eyes sparkled with humor. Naruko had made her promise. A true, heartfelt promise that she would come back safe, not lost, not broken. She meant every word. She had also made a promise to herself. She would protect those she loved, more than ever before. Because now she understood just how much it hurt Tsunade to see her suffer. She realized how deeply it would affect her friends if she ever pushed herself too far or lost sight of herself. Before, she only understood that idea in theory. But now she felt it, truly understood the weight of it. She imagined Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi, even Tsunade, being hurt. And the pain of that image pushed her to make another silent vow, she would be careful, not just for herself, but for all of them. Staying strong was part of protecting the people she loved. Taking a calming breath, a bright and determined smile spread across Naruko's face. She was on guard now, and no matter what strange world they were in, as long as she stood, her teammates would be safe. From anything, and from herself. Sasuke liked sleep. Now, some people might say that Sasuke didn't really like anything, but they'd be wrong. Sleep was something he genuinely enjoyed. Anyone who claimed he was too stoic to enjoy life clearly didn't know him. Honestly, he wasn't a machine. He still needed rest just like anyone else. So when his peaceful slumber was interrupted by a familiar, overly cheerful presence, he couldn't help but feel mildly irritated. That energetic, warm chakra. Yep. It had to be Naruko. With a small mental sigh, Sasuke tried to push her chakra away. Couldn't she just let him enjoy his sleep for once? Sure, he had a watch shift soon. But still. Sleep was sleep. He drifted back off for a bit, until her chakra nudged him again, more insistent this time. Sasuke had to give her credit, Naruko was nothing if not persistent. And, yes, a little exasperating. But that was kind of expected at this point. He tried to ignore her, but the chakra got even brighter. Sasuke groaned in annoyance. Suddenly, he felt a presence right beside his bed. That definitely got his attention. Reacting instantly, he jumped up and nearly tackled a startled, apologetic Naruko, who held up her hands. Your turn for watch? She offered sheepishly, her mask already on. Sasuke released her with a sigh. Okay, he muttered, rubbing his eyes as he got up. Naruko sank onto her bed with visible relief, already removing her armor and stashing a few emergency kunai under her pillow. Sasuke, I'm so tired, she mumbled. Then sleep. Can't. Not until you're officially on guard. That's nice. Come on, hurry up. I need rest. I'm going. Faster. I get it. You're still standing next to the bed. I'm getting dressed, Naruko. Give me a second. Not bothering. Just saying. My voice is great. You love hearing it. No, I really don't, Sasuke replied flatly. Now seriously. Both of you be quiet, came Sakura's groggy, annoyed voice from the other side of the tent. Sasuke quickly finished adjusting his armor and stepped outside without another word. Even he wasn't in the mood to deal with a sleepy and irritated Sakura. He sighed. Yep. He officially wasn't a fan of camping in Europe. Sakura was feeling incredibly exhausted. It wasn't just that they'd been caught in a swirling vortex or spent an absurd amount of time exploring unfamiliar houses, only to eventually stumble upon a hidden place filled with people speaking in a language they couldn't understand. No, Sakura was certain that everything that had gone wrong had been her teammates' fault. Again. It always was. They were exhausting. Honestly, why did she have to be the one who kept her cool? Sakura had a fiery personality, and she wasn't interested in playing mediator between a group of overly competitive and sometimes clueless individuals. When she had woken up to the sound of voices, Sakura couldn't help but feel irritated. She might have been able to snap at someone right there and then, but the voices quickly quieted, and she managed to fall back into sleep. Later, when she was woken by her dark-haired teammate, Sakura realized that she had slept through the night like a rock. Normally, she would have been alert at the slightest disturbance. She must have been more tired than she thought. She gave her teammate a grateful smile as he nodded back at her, and she quickly sat up. Her hand unconsciously gripping a senbone, which she must have picked up after the patrol, but she didn't remember doing it. Her hair was a mess, her clothes rumpled, and she still had her armor on. She was a wreck. Sakura stretched, the satisfying sound of her back cracking as she groaned. "What time is it?" "I'm not sure," Naruko replied, already up and moving. She was tossing her duffel bag over her shoulder. "I've got a civilian watch, but it's not synced to the local time." "Great," Sakura muttered, "we'll need to ask someone here about that." Sasuke grunted, agreeing as he adjusted his own bag. Sakura quickly grabbed hers, shoving toiletries into the duffel bag, grumbling that Naruko had eaten her cookies the night before. She would definitely get payback for that later. She zipped up the bag and said, "Well, let's get going and hope they have breakfast ready." "Yeah," Naruko murmured in reply, leading the way. She adjusted her porcelain mask, which she had set on her head earlier, and pulled it back down over her face. Sakura followed suit, with Sasuke trailing behind. The house was just as eerie in daylight as it had been during the night. Sakura noticed the odd paintings hanging on the walls, many of which seemed to be staring directly at her. She came upon the spot where she had set up a chakra netting, and decided to examine the strange artwork more closely in the daylight. Sure enough, there was an old man in one of the paintings, who gave her a strange look. Never seen a mask like that before. Naruko and Sasuke both jumped, weapons at the ready. Sakura, slightly unnerved, realized it was the paintings themselves that had startled them. A voice came from the painting. "Hello there, darlin'." "Stay away from old Callister," another voice added. "He's a bit eccentric." Sakura turned to see a second painting, this one of a young boy with sandy hair and an impish grin. "Hi there. What's your name? Where are you from? And why are you wearing a mask? Is that a sword? Can I see it? Please. Please. I promise I'll be careful. And what about your friends? They look kind of scary. Are they nice?" The boy spoke so quickly that Sakura could barely keep up, and she just stared, shocked by his enthusiasm. The boy tilted his head, noticing her stunned silence. "What's the matter? You look like you've seen a ghost or something." "Don't worry, though. There are no scary ones around here, just Jack. He's really friendly, he's a puppy. Do you like puppies?" "I do too. They're my favorite animal, but dragons are way cooler. I've heard there's a giant green dragon, but that's just someone talking nonsense. Dragons are so awesome." "Arnie." A woman's voice interrupted. "Watch your words. We have a guest, act with some decorum." The boy, Arnie, mumbled an apology. The woman in the painting nodded approvingly. "Now, let's let our guest introduce herself." The boy brightened up again. "Oh, right. What's your name? Where are you from? You sound a little different. Are you a samurai? I've heard all sorts of stories about samurai protectors. They're huge and carry awesome weapons. Do you know any samurai? I'd love to meet them. Also, you should meet Mr. Robinson, he's brilliant." Sakura snapped out of her trance and rushed to respond. "I'm sorry, I think I have to go on an urgent errand, can't be delayed. Bye." With that, she hurried down the hall, her teammates right behind her. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment. "What was that?" Sasuke muttered. "The reason I almost lost my mind last night," Sakura responded, still feeling the discomfort. Naruko seemed thoughtful. "Yeah, if I saw those guys in the dark, I'd probably be scared too." "I'm glad you agree," Sakura remarked dryly. "You should be. I'm the captain," Naruko shot back with a grin. "Oh, really?" "Yes, really." "Well then, Captain Sama, who became a Jounin first?" "Jounin doesn't matter. I made Onbu first." Sasuke interrupted, raising an eyebrow. "Are we seriously debating ranks right now? Because, as much as I hate to admit it, Naruko outranks both of you." "Yeah, so?" Sakura said with a smirk. "I can still order her around because I'm stronger." "Oh, you're stronger, huh? That's funny," Naruko said, leaning closer. "I could knock you down in seconds, and you know it," Sakura challenged. And I could use a Rasengan and send you flying into next week. Well, I can break down your body on an atomic level with a wave of my hand. I'm going to pretend I know what that means. But I can still beat you with a Rasen Shuriken. Oh, right, because a giant blue energy disk that makes a huge noise is so stealthy, Sakura retorted. Let's just move, alright? Sasuke interjected, rolling his eyes. Sakura sighed and turned to walk ahead. Lead the way, Captain. They found themselves downstairs, where a man with twinkling spectacles greeted them with an eager expression. Naruko raised an eyebrow. The torches were dim, so what was causing the lights to flicker? Ah, ninjas. Good morning. Shall I get you breakfast? Naruko nodded politely. That would be appreciated, thank you. The man smiled and waved his hand, pulling a long wooden stick from his pocket. With a few swishes, silver dishes flew out of a room they hadn't seen before, decorated in an odd Gothic style. Naruko groaned inwardly, of course it couldn't just be ordinary dishes. Everything had to be over the top. The man gestured for them to follow, and they shared a brief glance of disbelief before moving on. The dining hall was filled with long chairs and tables, the atmosphere dark and dramatic. At the far end of the room sat a shadowy figure, one of the people from the gathering yesterday. The man's eyes widened as he noticed them, then he spoke in a strange language. Ah, this is Black Sirius-san, the owner of the house and our gracious host, the man said, introducing them. He welcomes you. The trio nodded respectfully. They weren't fond of the house's decor, but they appreciated the hospitality. The table was filled with strange food, meats they didn't recognize, breads of all shapes, and odd gelatin-like substances. It was definitely unusual, but they remained polite, sitting down to eat. While they ate, Sasuke cast a genjutsu, allowing them to eat quickly without revealing their faces. They were all aware of the unusual magic surrounding the house, so they weren't sure how effective the genjutsu would be, but it was worth trying. Sakura found herself enjoying the colorful jams more than she expected, spreading them eagerly on bread. Don't you want a biscuit with that? The man said, amused by her enthusiasm. Naruko tried a bit of everything, but particularly enjoyed a salty meat called bacon. This is the best thing ever. One day, I'm going to eat it with ramen, and it will be legendary. Sasuke, meanwhile, couldn't stand the bacon. If I wanted to die from salt, I'd eat pickled plums. After finishing their meal, the trio thanked their host. You are very welcome. Now, I'm sure you're curious about what's next, he said. Today, you'll travel to a village near Hogwarts. Due to magical wards, teleportation is restricted here, but our deputy headmistress, Minerva McGonagall, will meet you outside and show you the way. Naruko nodded, eager to move on. Where will the portkey be located? It's in the entrance hall, he replied. Very well, we shall prepare and make our final defenses here. Naruko paused. Might I ask why we are not staying here with our charge? Dumbledore's spectacles twinkled. My friends, if the enemy can find Harry here, the battle is already lost. Even should they find Harry, I still have a duty to the rest of my students as headmaster. When Harry leaves for the school year, we will send a message and you may accompany him from here to Hogwarts. Does that seem acceptable? Yes, Sakura spoke for the three of them. Also, may we have those dictionaries? Ah, yes. Dumbledore took out a wand from his robes and waved it once, muttering something softly. In a swirl of magic, a stack of books appeared on the dining table. Sakura took out a scroll, bit her thumb, and swiped it across the scroll. All the books were sucked into the storage scroll, and she signed, mission accomplished. Let's finish the perimeter work now. Thank you, said Naruko. May we be excused? We have much to do. Dumbledore nodded, and the three ninjas nodded before performing a series of hand signs. Suddenly, there was a jolt in Naruko's navel as her chakra surged to life. Naruko felt the green leaves swirl around her and suddenly, they were back in their room. Why did we use the sunshine technique here? Sakura questioned. We have our bags and everything. Naruko narrowed her eyes. I don't know. I was aiming for the outside to set up final perimeter traps. Kurama must have redirected me. Sakura and Sasuke tensed. My own, why are we up so early? You're not going to find them. Ron, we've discussed this. All I want to do is say good morning to the guards face to face, nothing more. And if we don't end up finding them, it's alright too. My own, slow down. Apparently, they're leaving today to go set up defenses at the school, or that's what George told me at least. I think they should stay far away from me, because they're a bit intimidating. Ron. Oh, come on. You know it's true. Of course it is. That's why I'm going to introduce myself. Who knows? Maybe they want a friend. My own, that's just risky. That is not risky. It's the right thing to do. Not if you're going to get yourself hurt trying to be friends with people who seem dangerous. And that's just my point. We don't know that they're dangerous, we don't know anything about them. And we never will if we don't give them a chance. Hermione? Ron? What are you? Oh, sorry Harry, I didn't mean to wake you. NGH, it's alright, why are you up at 5:30 in the morning exactly? Harry, tell Hermione that visiting the guards before they go to Hogwarts is a bad idea. My own, that's not a great idea. Damn it Harry. See? See? Even Harry thinks it's a terrible idea, and he's the king of running off into danger. Hey! Hey! Ow! What was that for? That was for insulting me. Same here. Humph. The mischievous trio began climbing up the stairs, not really paying attention to where they were going. Well, why do you think it's such a bad idea, Harry? I dunno, my own, it just seems like they don't want to be bothered. They're getting so much attention here that I doubt they want more. I suppose, but what if they're in danger, Harry? What if they're being forced here or being controlled? Didn't you see how weirdly Dumbledore was talking about them? There's definitely stuff we don't know about going on here, and I don't want them to be hurt. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, my own, but honestly, if they end up attacking you, do you think you could protect yourself? They're ninja, Hermione. Well, I need to try. Bystanders will solve none of the world's problems. You are way too determined about this. Dash. Naruko readied her kunai as footsteps drew closer. She clenched her teeth together. Triangle formation. We're going with Chikyu no Manshou, she hissed. Her teammates nodded, all seriousness. Sakura's chakra flared as her 3 Baikugu seals glowed an eerie purple, while Sasuke's eyes began to spin with the power of the Mangekyo as he drew his sword. Naruko herself took out 2 of her specialty Fuuten knives, preparing for battle. They stood in a triangle, Naruko and Sasuke in the front, and Sakura behind them. Sasuke and Naruko would engage the enemy with a combination of taijutsu and kenjutsu while Sakura gathered chakra for her finishing move, Megami no Jishin. Then, the two would step back, and Sakura would unleash her powerful strike. The door opened, and in walked 3 teenagers totally immersed in a conversation. One had curly brown hair, another had ginger hair, and the third had spiky black hair. The 2 groups locked eyes with one another. And so, we reached the end of this incredible journey, where every chapter, every twist, and every turn has been a testament to the worlds we've explored together. As the story concludes, I want to take a moment to thank you all for the time you've spent reading, commenting, and supporting this channel. You've made it all worth it, and your enthusiasm pushes me to keep creating. This fanfic might have come to an end, but there are plenty more adventures to dive into. There are always new stories waiting to be told, new characters to meet, and new worlds to explore. So, if you want to keep up with my latest stories, ideas, and all things fanfic, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for being part of this amazing journey. Your support means everything to me, and I'm truly grateful to have you all with me on this ride. Until next time, stay awesome, stay passionate, and keep embracing the world of imagination. With much love and gratitude. 6 Path Weeb.